drop in today to talk about the color of white, which is actually really the absence of color, oddly enough, and yet it's still worth having a really important conversation about because it can make a big difference in how your property looks and feels when completed. We're going to focus on the interior when it comes to white today, primarily as it applies to trim work, and then also as it applies to ceilings, and finally as an accent, which you might not have thought of white as an accent, but it can make a really great accent. So beginning with trim work, we typically see this in new construction. Comes as no surprise. It's easy to touch up. It's easy to clean. This usually segues into the doors, the jambs, everything being in white. Is this a good idea? Yes, it absolutely can be a great idea. In fact, there's one white that I really, really like. It's Benjamin Moore's OC45 called Swiss Coffee. You would think Swiss coffee would be more like a latte. It's not at all. It's actually just a really beautiful white that seems to go well with neutral, cool, and warm palettes. Looking at white then as a ceiling color, you will see this a lot of times depending on what region of the country you're in. Some regions of the country paint the whole room into one color. Other regions just paint the walls into a color and leave the ceiling as white. Is this a good idea? Yes, it can be when used strategically. When do we like white for ceilings? First of all, if we're using a standard ceiling height of 8 feet or so, 8 to 10 feet, we'd love to see white used. Once you get into the 12-foot area, not a big deal to put color up there. You've got plenty of room and the space can breathe. However, on those shorter ceilings, we absolutely love to see it, a Swiss coffee used. Use your judgment though. If you have lots of windows, you may not need it in an 8-foot or 10-foot area, but typically speaking, it is a great add. Yes, finally, let's talk about white as an accent wall. You might not think of white as an accent wall. I certainly didn't at first, but there are times to strategically use it. For instance, I'm working on this project called the Glass House, which if you've been following us on Facebook, you know all about. Really cool project. It's actually a bridge that spans the Oklahoma Turnpike, and we painted the ceilings white in there, which are arched, and thought, we really ought to tie that arch in somewhere. Well, conveniently enough, the architect, who is brilliant in this case, Beck Design, decided to put an arched wall leading up the grand staircase. So what a great way to tie the arch from the ceiling and the arch on the exterior into the interior. And so we're going to paint that interior arched wall, or curved wall rather, to match the arch into the white as well. So yes, it's a commercial space. Does that mean that you can get away with more in that space? Possibly. Do I think it could work in a residential application? I absolutely do. Don't be afraid to use white. A lot of times it's for people who are deathly afraid of color, or a lot of people who love color are afraid of it just looking blah when it's all said and done. But just like a good wine, it can be a great palette cleanser. It can provide some nice neutrals that really allow those colors to pop once they are in contrast with it. Hope that helps, and here's to white. Have a great day. Make it a colorful one, and we'll see you back next time.